Welcome to the Cosmic Cafe show, where the paranormal is normal. My name is Eric Brown, and I'll be your host and server. For today's daily special at the cafe, we are brewing up paranormal phenomena. Have you been a victim of paranormal phenomena? Hundreds, even thousands of people claim to have had a paranormal phenomena, something that has disturbed them so greatly that they were even afraid to tell their own spouse about it. How does a person help or get help when they feel they can't even talk to their own loved ones? To help us find out, we have stopping by the cafe another good friend, Dr. June Steiner, the current president of OPUS, which is the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support. Welcome, June.
Thank you, Eric. It's wonderful to be here.
I'm glad you stopped by.
Yeah, well, I'm always interested in talking about paranormal things that happen and how to help people to deal with those things.
Well, I would hope so. You're a doctor of transpersonal psychology, right? And also you have a doctorate from the American Institute of
Hypnotherapy.
Yes, yes. So I imagine you do like to talk.
So we can use hypnosis so well with people that have these kinds of experiences. But let me tell you a little bit about some of the experiences people might have in the paranormal area that frighten them and make it hard for them to share with their families. One of them was a family that had a portal, literally a psychic portal, in their house. And what they noticed was that there were all kinds of strange sounds and poltergeist activity.
Wow.
They felt bad. They could get angry easy. All kinds of strange things were happening. And their children were having nightmares, and they were very, very concerned about it.
Yeah.
And they had someone come in who understood what was going on, and they discovered that there was this very powerful portal that they couldn't completely close up, no matter what they used in terms of other psychic abilities. And so it kept leaking through. And the parents were so upset by what was happening and noticing it was happening to their children that they began to argue. They began to not be able to get along because of their fear of what was going on, and one of them telling the other that you've got to stop this, and of course there was no way they could stop it. And so oftentimes what we find is when people have difficult experiences that the relationship goes through a very hard time. Yeah. Either one that doesn't have the experience happen doesn't want the other one to talk about it, and says, if you do, I'll leave, which puts the other person in a really difficult bind, and then they stuff it all inside.
I can imagine that must just be terrible for these people to try and figure out, what's going on, what's happening to them, what's happening to their children. Their spouse doesn't want to talk about it. And if they go down to a regular hospital or doctor or whatever, that doctor may just not even know how to deal with it. So I can imagine
worse than that, sometimes those hospitals diagnose you because they say you're having hallucinations or this or that.
Oh, that's
and
true.
You literally are put on medication or locked up for a short time.
Wow.
And these people have just had paranormal experiences. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just they're not knowing what to do about it.
Right. So that's what makes your work with OPUS so valuable, right?
Right, because we can help these people get in touch with people who are very familiar with paranormal things.
Right.
Another really interesting story was a woman was up in a hot air balloon, and something happened to the fire in there and caused it to go up too high, too fast.
Oh.
And she lost consciousness.
Wow.
And when they brought the balloon down as fast as they could, and she was dead. She was having a near-death experience.
Oh,
they were able to pull her back out of it, but when they did, she had this strange, strange story to tell about what had happened to her while she was in there. And she was told that she had she was in the middle of a literally what's the word I want to use? Geometry type of symbol, and she was told that you have to remember everything that you see here in this geometrical structure because you need to bring it back to the scientists of the world. And she just, you know, it was so intricate, and there were actually two inside of each other. When she came back, she was still she was paralyzed for a while and could hardly talk.
Oh.
So she went to see, she stayed for a while with North American Indians, and their elders helped her. And then she went to Nepal and stayed with some of their people in Nepal, and they also helped her. Very slowly, she began to be able to draw this phenomena.
Oh, okay.
But it was flat, and so she just had this absolute, so strong feeling that she had to do this. It was like she didn't have any choice in the matter. She lost her her husband left her, lost her family, and the whole process. But the push was so strong to bring this back to the world. And so over the years, she has worked with teams of scientists, and now they're finding some of the most incredible information in this picture that she was given and put inside of. And
wow,
she
that's
uses it.
unbelievable.
She uses it around the world.
Wow.
So it's quite amazing when we have these experiences that can be very frightening when they happen, but if we can work through them, there's marvelous things that come out on the other side of them.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you can benefit the world and work with scientists,
right,
that's truly amazing. And this lady originally got help through
yes,
the OPUS network.
I did a lot
you.
of hypnosis work with her, and just helping her to, you know, to take it in and not see it as something crazy, not seeing something that's wrong, but instead that she literally was touched by people from elsewhere.
Wow.
Beings from elsewhere, and said, we have something very important for you. It's not time for you to die. You need to come back.
I'm glad you mentioned hypnosis, because I've always had a fascination with hypnosis, and I think we'll get into it a little bit deeper in a few minutes after you, because I know you have a couple more really exciting stories to share with our patrons
here. Because I use hypnosis with almost all of these things, so I can tell you about what we do there.
I'm excited to hear about it.
Another very interesting kind of experience is our clairaudient and clairvoyant, where people all of a sudden are walking down the street or sitting, and they begin to hear a voice telling them that something's going to happen, or they see a picture of something. And very often it's something that's really like a disaster or a death or something that's really uncomfortable. And they don't know what to do with it. They're wondering why they got it. And of course, what happens is they think they have to stop it. And then it happens because there isn't any way to stop it. And then they feel terrible, and they think that they've done something wrong, that they must have been told this because they were supposed to be able to stop. And the fact is that that's not why these people are, you know, able to get this kind of information. They are people with very open beings, and they get information in. And when a disaster is going to happen or a death is going to happen, there's far more frequency and energy that's going on in the area.
Well, they mentioned animals are in tune to that, like dogs and other animals, so why not our brains as well?
That's right.
Yeah.
So my work with them is trying to help them to see that they're not responsible to do something about it. They're just getting told that they have some new abilities to take in information and to, you know, deal with it in a way that they don't blame themselves for what happened.
And you help people with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that they again don't feel like there's something from some strange world is dealing with them, and they have trouble living in this world. They get to integrate it together, which really helps.
I imagine it does.
So.
Definitely don't want to run down to your local doctor and tell them those stories, right?
Absolutely not. No.
Our local doctors are great for a lot of things, but they probably would have trouble with that.
Yeah. Another one is possession, and that is where an entity or a dead person's energy, or sometimes it can be very demonic, can come into a person. It usually doesn't happen unless that person is sick, drunk, on drugs, or something of that nature, or has a psychic break of some kind. But all of a sudden, they begin to get messages, hear voices, or being told what to do, even if it's something they don't want to do. And pretty soon, the person begins to feel like they have no more control over themselves anymore. And so someone has to go in. In many cases, it's a priest. Other times, it's someone who's trained to work with that. I used to work with that quite a bit, and we've worked with people where we literally have to go in, and their strength is so powerful that you can't, it takes 3 or 4 people to hold them down. There's some very powerful psychic energy that comes through them when they've got this, and so you have to talk the entity inside out, and you also have to talk the person into taking back control.
Oh, okay. That's
because
interesting.
even if you remove it, if that person stays open, that energy will come back in again.
Right.
Which is really scary for I guess the people around them as well, because their families literally think they're crazy. Because they're acting crazy, even though they're not actually crazy.
And I could see where that would cause a person who's acting that way and having these like crazy feeling, not want to tell their families and suppress it and hide it. And I can imagine that makes things even worse for them.
It does, because then this strange behavior comes out in the weirdest ways, and nobody realizes why or what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can tell you a little bit about how I use hypnosis with some of this. If
would you please? That would be great. Now, you're not going to hypnotimize me, right?
Well, I might.
Okay, note to the crew, if I end up being hypnotized and running around like a chicken. No, that's not what you do, right?
No, that's not what I do.
Yeah.
That's stage hypnosis. And unfortunately, stage hypnosis makes a lot of people afraid of regular hypnosis.
Yeah.
Because they think that I'm going to be able to make them do something that they don't want to do.
That's my first thought. See, that's what I...
And it's absolutely not true. What I do with people is I give them full permission to hear what I have to say in my suggestions, but they can do whatever they want with it. In other words, if I suggest they do something that's uncomfortable for them, their own being says, no, I don't want to do that, and they have permission from me to come forward and say, that doesn't feel good to me, or just to ignore whatever it is I have to say. But I don't tell people what to do. I don't tell them to feel a certain way or think a certain way. Instead, we put them into either a light or a medium state of hypnosis, whereby they are completely able to hear everything that's going on. They're able to remember everything that's going on. They do get pictures, they get words, they go back to the time when it happened, so that we can actually take them right to the event, and they can then very clearly talk about not only what they remembered normally, but they can go back and we can help them to do all kinds of interesting things. They can say that they remembered coming out of a room. Well, under hypnosis, I can take them back into that room, and they can then tell me what went on in the room and things of that nature. We can also help them to let go of the fear, and so that they are not tied up with post-traumatic stress from all of these things, which easily happens.
I can imagine that's very valuable.
Yeah.
I actually had a question on the previous thought that you're talking about. When you take somebody back into that room, I've always kind of wondered, how does the hypnosis make it so that your memory recall is better? Because a lot of people might think, well, maybe the person is just suggesting what that room looks like and the detail is, and instead of the person really having real memories.
Well, first of all, you can't give them any leading questions. So you wouldn't ask them, is the room square? Is the room painted blue? Or
the black
anything at all, right? So you want them to tell you. And so all you would say is, what are you aware of?
Oh, okay.
And then they begin to come back to you. But at the same time, you do need to take them into the room and just say, usually I will count back. I'll say, I'm going to count from 3 to 1. At the count of 1, you will be there. You will see what's around you and be very aware of what's going on. And then you'll be able to tell me what you see or what you're feeling. And you want them to get into their feelings, because the more they can get into their feelings, the more they're in the actual experience of what went on.
I guess it's kind of like we have savants that record everything, everything they see, and some can reproduce it in paintings or drawings or something that they saw who knows when, and they just have perfect recall. So is that kind of what the hypnosis does? Is all of our brains are really recording all this stuff? It's just
we carry it all. It's all in there. We just don't remember it because it's not something, either it's something that because of the experience, we were told not to remember, which often happens.
Okay,
In other words,
we got to talk about that.
those things are told. Or in other cases, I've had people where they literally had a block put on it. Someone else hypnotized them first and said, "You're not to remember this."
Oh,
And so then you have to break that to be able to get through it. But what really happens to begin with is that when I take you into a hypnotic state, I'm taking you into like a tunnel vision where nothing else is bothering you. You're not hearing other things, or let's say you can hear them, but they don't have any effect on you. So you are having super sensitive attention on what did happen back then.
okay.
And then the mind, the subconscious mind easily brings back those kinds of memories.
That was really
And,
fascinating.
Yeah. And as I say, the person may be too afraid sometimes to go into those memories. And then we have to help them to see, you're healthy and safe now, so whatever happened there didn't kill you or hurt you or, make it impossible for you to remember it now. And so sometimes we can, get them to go through that fear. And other times we have to work with them for a while before they can.
You bring up a really good point. How do you get someone who's been traumatized with an event? How do you get them put to ease? I mean, I know with Opus you guys have confidentiality, but for me, I have nervousness about the whole hypnosis idea.
Sure.
I'll be honest with you. It's maybe it's because I've seen too many TV shows and
Probably.
and too many stage of hypnosis events at Renaissance fairs. But so for me, how would you put someone like me to ease so that I would feel confident in opening up to you and going back to an event?
Well, first of all, you never go into the hypnosis until you had a really good connection and bonding. And because I am willing, or any other person that's doing this kind of work, is willing to sit with someone who has this experience with no judgment and with total willingness to accept that what they did was what really happened, that person begins to trust me. Whereas if I were to question them in a way that made it sound like I didn't believe them, I would be setting myself up for failure for sure.
Right.
And then often I'll tell them about other people who I have worked with and how it worked for them.
Yes.
I'll bring up some of their problems. I'll say, if there's anything at all that you're afraid of or you have a question about, please ask me.
Right.
And then I can help them to see that, that isn't going to be an issue. And of course, we have complete confidentiality.
Now, do you provide recording or video recording so I can be sure that I wasn't made to run around like a chicken?
Absolutely. I automatically do the audio recording and give them the tapes for that.
Okay.
And I can do video if they want that. I don't do it on an average time, but that's certainly something I can do.
Okay. Now, earlier when you were telling us the stories about some of the, when we first started the show, you mentioned you were using. Did you want to share with us kind of how that was used during the,
Sure.
like for that story, since you kind of got our interest up?
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let me just put in a different story quickly,
Oh,
and that
okay.
is that where I did an investigation, and I did about 20 different sessions with someone in that investigation to help them get back to what happened. And it was a woman who ended up having a daughter who was a hybrid. And
Okay, now maybe you better explain what a hybrid is,
a
just
hybrid
in case somebody doesn't know.
is someone who, during those medical things that Les was talking about, when people have an abduction and they're given a medical examination, or they're taken, the semen is taken, or they're impregnated, then those are the kinds of things that happen during those events.
Okay.
If a child is born out of that, that's a hybrid.
Okay. Okay.
Now, mostly hybrids are not here, but we actually now do have a large number of hybrids in our world.
That sounds like a whole nother show.
It is a fascinating other story.
Yeah.
But they were trying to connect. This woman had this story about her daughter going to college, and her roommate was a very strange woman, and she began to describe it, and found out from the military father that this was actually a hybrid that was brought here to Earth to see if she could be incorporated into our lifestyle and be okay with it. She was an unusual woman, however, and looked somewhat different. and ate different food, didn't eat what we eat.
Oh,
So anyway, because her daughter who lived with her said she was almost blind, which is why they put her with her. So she couldn't see that this woman was that much different. But anyway, the mother talked to the daughter, and the daughter was saying, you know, I can see that she doesn't eat normal food, so on and so forth. So the mother began to do some investigating on her own and found out that this was definitely someone who had come here from someone else. She met the military father, was told that this was a hybrid from out of this earth, and she was writing a book, and investigators wanted to say, is this real?
mm-hmm.
And so I took her through about 20 different sessions of hypnosis, and it was quite remarkable, the information that came through and our ability to actually talk to the hybrid.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's actually a book out called Rachel's Eyes
Yeah.
by Helen Luttrell.
Oh, okay.
And if anyone's interested in that kind of thing, it's a wonderful book.
Rachel's Eyes.
Rachel's Eyes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
They just reminded me that we actually have a slide they wanted to put up.
All right.
It's, I believe, slide number 2, which is kind of, I think it's somewhat of a famous drawing. There we go.
Oh, yes.
Of someone being abducted
Yeah.
through the blue light.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get people describing those type of events? That,
Absolutely, where they're literally taken out of their beds through the walls or up through the ceiling, where they see their children being taken, even when they're not. Very definitely. It can happen from inside, it can happen from outside.
Is there any safe place to where it can't help?
You know, I don't know of any. It's happened in just about every, you know, people do go and try and hide because they want to get away from it, but I don't know of anyone who's successfully hidden. Some people have successfully talked the aliens out of doing it, or the paranormal people, but generally if they want it to happen, you know, the other beings want it to happen, it will happen.
So I imagine that's probably some of your therapy as well, or work, right?
That's a big part of it, because post-traumatic stress is a huge piece that comes out of these kinds of experiences.
Yeah.
And so I help people to, first of all, stop being afraid, to realize they are okay now. And a lot of the fear is it's going to happen again. Then what am I going to do?
Yeah,
so
that's a
they
good
have
question.
to learn to live with, yes, it probably will happen again. And if you do certain things, it'll be easier when it happens.
Right.
And just know you were okay each time after this happens. So don't start making stories up in your head, which is real easy to do, about what might happen next time.
Right. You know, we should probably have you give out how someone can actually get in touch with you at Opus.
All right.
What is, so I guess I asked Les the same question when I met Les. Let's say I'm going home tonight and I have a paranormal event happen to me, some sort of phenomena. You know, hopefully I'm not driving at the time, but if something happens to me overnight and I want to get in touch, tell me how you get in touch and then kind of what happens as far as the step.
Well, you can either go to the website, which is www.opusnetwork.org, or you can call my number, which is 408-395-9202. And that's my office, and people can
And they can
reach
get that
me
number
there.
off the website,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
And I will always sit, if I can't do it at the moment, I will make an appointment within 24 hours to sit with and talk to someone. Sometimes up to a couple of hours, just to calm them down, to help them see what it is that they need to have happen. And then if they want my services or someone else's services, you know, I will help them go from there. But we have a large referral base that we can help people, no matter where they are in the United States, get the help that they need.
And that's got to be really important for someone who maybe doesn't know what's going on and is afraid to tell their spouse.
Absolutely.
Or if they're alone, maybe tell their coworkers. I mean, you know, you wouldn't want to do that. So at least you reach out to them, listen to them, and then help direct them in the best direction that's going to help them.
And then we can also help them to deal with their spouses and deal with their jobs and so on and so forth by realizing that, you know, how it's told and who is supporting you in that telling, you know, will make it easier for the spouse or the workplace to be able to accept it.
You know, speaking of spouses, do you offer like a group thing, or, I mean, let's say you have a really skeptical spouse that just thinks they're, you know, that I'm crazy. You know, Eric, you're crazy. I'm not going to go to that meeting with you, or whatever. And how's that dealt with?
Well,
real quickly.
First, I would ask them to come in alone as a couple, so that I could help them that way. Then, if they wanted to come in as a couple, our support group with Opus would be a good place to do it. I also will put together a group if I have a number of people wanting to do that.
Oh, wonderful.
So.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So you have any other quick little good stories to maybe encourage someone that or how does, you know?
I was up in Shasta and saw my own, I've had a lot of experiences since I was a little kid. And up in Shasta, I saw a huge ship, and it ended up going into the crater of Shasta. But in the meantime, I tried to wake my husband up. We were camped in the snow on the mountain because we'd been told to go up there.
Yes.
And I went in and I jumped on my husband. I mean, I did everything I could to wake him up to see the ship. No way could I wake him up. But in the morning, when I woke him up and told him about it, he was very excited, and we literally could feel the energy. It was totally different than it was before that. Birds came and stood in our hands and ate out of our hands. There was no question something very remarkable had happened the night before.
You needed an Opus network to turn to back then, right?
No, I'd been having it long enough in my life that didn't do anything but just be fun for me.
So this goes back for you?
Yes, yes.
How far back?
I was probably 1.5, 2 years old, my first experience with.
Oh my goodness. So you understand what people.
Right. Which is what makes it easy for me to be able to work with people, because I don't say, well, I don't understand, or I can't believe that happened.
Well, I think this is about all the time we have. What I would like to do is encourage anybody that's watched this that does feel that they've had some sort of paranormal event happen to themselves to please contact opusnetwork.com and contact June. And I really want to say thank you to everyone here at the Media Center for volunteering their time to help with the show. You can find out more about our guests and future shows, past shows, on our website, cosmiccafeshow.com. And I guess that's about all we have for any last parting thoughts for anyone to say?
Just never be afraid to talk about exceptional things that happen to you, because they hold